Hello everyone, it's Sarah. Today is Friday, April 24th. Today I have a really slow day. I sold one thing. It is this Wilton Happy Birthday. It's not really a whole pan. It's meant to, I guess you put it, maybe you put it in the bottom of a round pan and then you cook the cake in it, and then when you take it out and you flip the cake over, it says happy birthday on it. So this sold for $4 plus shipping. Not a big sale. Last summer I went to a garage sale and I bought a whole bag of Wilton cake pans for $7. I think I paid something like that. It was about $7. Maybe she threw in a coffee cup or something. So some of those cake pans sold for like $10 or $12. This one, obviously, not a huge sale, but, you know, I'm just glad to get it out of here. On the Wilton cake pans, they typically sell better on Amazon, but not everybody is ungated for them. I'm not ungated with Wilton, so I can't sell Wilton on Amazon. So I have them all listed on eBay, and I've sold most of them. I think I only have maybe 2 or 3 left, so they do sell. Sometimes it takes a while, but they're easy to ship. I'll just put this in a padded mailer and ship it out first class. It'll be really easy to ship. So since I only had one thing to ship out today, I wanted to talk a little bit about customers when they're not happy and how to deal with them sometimes. Sometimes it's frustrating and it's tempting to take things kid wants in, to take it personally. But you have to remember that this is a business. Whether or not you are a business or you're just selling stuff around the house, you need to treat it as a business. Okay, I'm back. My little girl decided she must change out of her pajamas right this minute. So anyway, I wanted to talk about customers who aren't happy and how to deal with them. I've had a couple in the last week, which I don't normally have that many. Maybe something's in the air, I don't know. So last week I had sold a red coffee pot to a buyer, and before it had sold, he had sent me a couple of messages asking if there was a military discount. And you know, I kind of have mixed feelings about that. You know, I'm super appreciative of our military, of course, but I don't know, just going out of your way to ask for a military discount. I mean, I don't even know if you were in the military. I don't know, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So I responded to his messages really kindly, and I said, you know, I just listed this item, so it's not really eligible for any discounts right now, but I may be lowering the price in the near future, so please keep an eye on it. And he ended up purchasing it for full price. So I knew something was going to come up. I just knew it. And sure enough, after he received the coffee pot, he was complaining about the coffee stains that were in the basket because it's white. I mean, coffee stains. And I disclosed that in the listing. There's no way you could have missed it. I mentioned it multiple times. There was pictures of it. He was just fishing for a partial refund, and I don't really want to risk getting negative feedback. And so I offered him a $10 refund, and I will be blocking him from purchasing anything in the future. But, you know, of course, I was really nice about it. And it's important that you don't accept, like, responsibility where it isn't due, I guess, if that makes sense. You know, I really kindly said, yes, you know, I'm sorry about those coffee stains. I did mention that in the listing. I can see that you had to take some time to clean those. And I offered him a $10 refund on a $70 item, which I don't love, but sometimes it's just a cost of doing business. I'm sure some people would disagree with me and say, no, you know, you disclosed that, don't give in any, but I don't want negative feedback. So that's how I handled that. And then I had another lady on the milk glass lace edge candy dishes that I sold a few days ago. She sent me a message this morning saying that she's not happy with them, that these aren't vintage, they don't have any markings on them, etc. And they're most definitely vintage. I looked them up on replacements.com, and they have them listed as Anchor Hawking, and I trust replacements.com with their descriptions. I feel like they really know what they're talking about, and they have these listed as being from the 50s and 60s, which is obviously vintage. And I don't know what she's talking about with, a marking. Like, you can't mark something as vintage on the item, because vintage is dependent on the age of the item. If you don't know, anything over 20 years old is vintage. So, right now, something that was made in 1999 is vintage. So, like I said, I just told her, oh, she was really nasty, just send me a return shipping label immediately. I want a full refund. Okay, fine, no big deal. Like, if you don't like something, that's fine. But my thing is, if she opens this return saying the item is not as described, then I kind of get a ding on my account. It's kind of like a point against me, or a demerit. Hold on, I'm going to turn my air conditioner off. And so I don't want that. I want to avoid that. If she does end up opening the return as saying item not as described, I want to be able to kind of fight that with eBay, not with her, but with eBay, especially if she leaves me a negative feedback. So, really nicely, I just said, I understand your concern. Vintage is not related necessarily to the marking on an item. It's related to the age. Not everything is going to have a date stamped on it, or something stamped on it. I sent her the link to replacements.com and was just like, I can't remember exactly what I said, but something like, replacements.com does date this item as being from the 50s and the 60s. So I hope that calms your concerns about whether it's vintage or not. I am confident that these are vintage, but still, if you don't want them, please feel free to open up a return, and you certainly can return them. And, I'll be disappointed if she returns them. They were a free item, and they sold for $30. So if she returns them, especially if she opens this return as a item not as described, then I will have to pay for the return shipping. And then I will have to refund her all of her money, which basically means I'll end up having to pay for shipping twice. So I'll be out probably at least $30. And the only way to recoup that will be to sell them again, in which case, when they do resell, I will kind of end up breaking even, and I'll just be out my time. And so that's frustrating, but I encourage you not to take it personally, because you're never going to keep everybody happy. You're just not going to have 100% happy customers. Unfortunately, it just doesn't work that way. You just have to not let it bother you and move on. Last month, I had a baseball glove that I sold for about $135. And the buyer who purchased it wasn't happy with it. I had disclosed in the listing that the glove wasn't in great condition. You are going to need to work on it a little bit. It was stiff. It needed cleaned, it needed to be conditioned, etc. And when he got it, he tried to clean it, and then I guess he decided he didn't want it after all. So he returned it, and I did have to refund him all that money. And so when I got it back, I kind of I thought about it for a while. I was trying to decide whether or not to relist it. So what I ended up doing is I relisted it, but only for $50. And I gave even more information about this glove is not in good condition. Do not purchase this item if you do not know how to recondition an old glove. And somebody bought it pretty quickly. Like I said, I listed it for only $50, whereas the previous time it had sold for $135. And I ended up getting good feedback from this buyer. So, just make sure that you're really covering your butt when it comes to things like that. You really want to make sure that you're listing the condition, listing the brand, listing everything as accurately as you can, because, circling back around to those candy dishes, if she leaves me a negative feedback or she opens a return as item not as described, I'll be able to contact eBay and say, hey, I have proof that this item was as described, and I dealt with this customer professionally, and I feel that I shouldn't have this negative feedback, or I feel that I shouldn't have this item not as described ding on my account. This wasn't deserved. And so hopefully that'll all work out. But like I said, I'm not really going to worry about it too much, because worrying about it or being upset about it or taking it personally is not going to change the fact that they're probably coming back to me. And I mean, worst case scenario, she may even ship back a brick and keep it, because sometimes people do that. She may not wrap them correctly. They may come back to me broken. Stuff like that happens. And the best thing to do is just direct your energy into listing more items on eBay and appreciating the customers that are happy. You're just not going to be able to keep them all happy. Just roll with it and move on is the best advice that I can give you. And always, always remain professional. I don't care how rude they are to you. You remain professional. That's part of dealing with customers, and it stinks, but you're just going to have to deal with it. That's just the way it is. Always remain professional, and, complain about it to somebody else later, I guess. So, yeah, it's going to be okay. Just when that kind of stuff happens, you be nice, and, generally your template for a response is, I'm so sorry that you aren't happy with your purchase. Please return it for a full refund, and don't get into it. I did a little bit with this particular lady. I didn't really get into it, but I did show her proof that the item that she purchased was in fact vintage, but I was really nice about it. And I think something like that's probably fine. So anyway, I'm going to get off here, and I'm going to ship this cake pan out and see if I can get some new items listed. I haven't had time to do that in the last few days. So thanks for watching. I hope you liked it. If you did, hit the thumbs up and subscribe. Y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.